How much do I have to repent in order for the keepers of the Tua bandwagon to let me on? Oh, it is. It is a Monday episode of Donno Daily here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. I am Alex Donno. We're going to be taking you up for about the next half hour or so. Do us a solid if you're here, whether you're watching us live at 3:05. How about that? 3:05 in the 3:05, or you're watching us via tape delay later on. Either way, do us a solid. Smash that like button and subscribe to 5 Reasons Sports on YouTube. I don't think they're going to let me on the Tua bandwagon, which I guess it's fine. I've made my bed. I'll sleep in it. Brooklyn Rob, who's one of the biggest Tua fans out there, he said, "I said this once and I will say it again. You jumped off the Tua train. We left you at the station. You ain't allowed back on. Go get on the Deshaun train. Plenty of room for you there." Oh, and there is, of course, Deshaun Watson news today. Indade calls me a fence rider. So we're going to bring in Louis D. Sung in just a second. Judge the Honorable Sue L. Robinson has laid down a 6-game suspension, only a 6-game suspension for Deshaun Watson, which means week 10, when the Dolphins face the Browns, they could very well be going up against Deshaun Watson. Now, oh man, Twitter has been a special place today with people reacting to the fact that it was only a 6-game suspension. And I get it, man. The things that he has been accused of doing, really disgusting. And I know that the NFL had recommended a full season of suspension. I guess the honorable judge disagreed on that and only gave him 6 games. And by the way, both sides have said they won't appeal. So the NFL could still change their mind. Like they could say, "Oh, okay, we wake up tomorrow morning. Yeah, let's appeal that. We think it's a bad look for him to be back, week 7 or whatever." But they have said at this time, no plans on appealing. Deshaun Watson has said no plans on appealing. And so I think just a couple things to keep in mind as to why he was only suspended 6 games, because I get it. It doesn't seem like maybe enough based on the accusations. And we've seen guys due to like repeated marijuana offenses, which smoking a little weed is not hurting anybody else, right? Get suspended for longer than that. One thing to think about is whether you like this or not, I'm just laying this down here. I think that for fair or unfair, they look at the fact that he sat out all of last season because of these issues. They probably consider last season as time served. So it's like, okay, it's not really a 6-game suspension. It's like a 23-game suspension if you include 17 games from last year. And of course, and I'm not here to argue about this with anybody because these are just facts, was not actually criminally indicted or charged with anything. So I'm sure, had he been criminally charged and there's like an ongoing court case, would have been longer than a 6-game suspension. But at the end of the day, he's only going to be out 6 games, the Cleveland Browns quarterback, and he will be eligible to face the Dolphins week 10. Let's bring on one of our favorites to talk Dolphins football with. And look at him, the company man. He's repping the 5 Reasons Sports brand. I've got one of those hats. Hold on. Do I have it? Oh, man. I don't think I have it in the room with me here. Otherwise, I'd put it on so we can be twins. Instead, I'm wearing Peaky Blinders hat. Do you watch Peaky Blinders, Lewis? Or did you watch it?
I do not, but listen, I'm going to say that hat right there that you've got on, that's like your brand, man. You got to keep that hat. That's like either the tin hat or that hat. That's the Donno Daily look.
Oh, man, I appreciate that. And I like it. From time to time, I wear the 5 Reasons hat on the stream, but I like to rock this old Peaky Blinders hat when I can. Okay, let's talk about Tua Tagovailoa. And listen, I joke about wanting to jump back on the bandwagon. I'm still skeptical. I mean, you can make as many 65-yard completions in training camp as you want to. I still need to see more actually on the field. But I am a Dolphins fan, and I'm not one of these a-holes who roots against Tua because they want to see him fail. I want to see Tua and every single Miami Dolphin succeed. I've just had my doubts about the guy for the last couple of years. That's all it is with me. But with that said, I love the fact that he hits Tyreek Hill in stride. And I think, Lewis, that one of the things that Tua is learning and we're all learning is you really can't overthrow Tyreek Hill. And so it's going to be up to the two of them to build that chemistry where Tua knows, I just need to put this beyond the reach of the defensive secondary. And if I throw it out there, Tyreek Hill is going to find a way to come down with it and score a lot of touchdowns. It's nice to see that connection already happening a bit.
Well, yeah, that was the entire point of bringing him in the first place. When we traded for him, I was still shocked. I was still shocked when the whole trade went down. And now we're getting to see the benefits of that trade in action here in training camp. And let's be clear about something. This is exactly what Tua was needing all along. Now we're getting sort of reminiscent to the kind of talent that he had when he was back in Alabama. He's got his 2-star wide receivers. He's got one of them which he played with. And by the way, that bomb, as pretty as it was to Tyreek Hill, it was perfect. It was right on the money, and it landed right in the breadbasket. Jakeem Grant would have dropped it probably.
And Ted Ginn would have dropped it back in the day too.
Yeah, exactly. So, but Tyreek caught it, which is great. But the more impressive throw for me was the throw that's now circulating today. The one where against Jevon Holland of all people is just right through this itty bitty little hole, gets it to Jaylen Waddle on a rope right into the middle of the field. That I think was more impressive than the bomb to Tyreek, because listen, when you're throwing 65-yard shots down the field, more likely it's just a 50-50 shot. Either he's going to catch it or he's not going to catch it. You have to have a lot more finesse. You have to have a lot more discipline in order to hit those tight ropes in tight coverage, especially against someone like Jevon Holland. So the fact that he's getting more comfortable with those types of throws, and yes, he's still making mistakes, but I don't care. The training camp is what mistakes are for. This is where you make your mistakes. And every single quarterback in this league makes mistakes in training camp. So there was something that my good friend Ron, who would be the co-host for my Pulse of Fins Nation show starting this preseason, is that we're being told to shut up about that bomb because it's just one throw in practice, right? It's no big deal. And we spent all of June agonizing over the underthrow that the Dolphins PR team put out. Okay, so when it's a good thing, it's no big deal. When it's a bad thing, it's the end of the world. Can't have it both ways.
Right. I agree. And that's a great point that you bring up. And if anything, like for people who are like, oh, well, who cares? It's one throw. At the same time, it's like, okay, yeah, there probably are a lot of quarterbacks that are in training camp completing 65-yard bombs, but you definitely don't want to be one of the few who's not. Right. So it's still like, okay, even if I'm sure Josh Allen's probably doing that, Aaron Rodgers, if he's even participating in training camp, he'd be doing that. But yeah, I want Tua to be one of the guys who's even doing that in practice. So I think it's cool. And I'm glad you brought up the throw to Waddle because, and I think the caption that they used was keyhole accuracy, which is good. Let's get more of that into our lives. And, for as excited as we are about Tyreek Hill for obvious reasons, I'm also really excited about Jaylen Waddle. And Lewis, it sounds like he's having an excellent training camp so far. So the Dolphins are going to have a legit 1-2 punch, if not a 1-2-3 punch, because Cedric Wilson I like as well at wide receiver because Waddle is really standing out.
Oh, no, the entire wide receiver core is just absolutely loaded with talent from top to bottom. Like you already have your top three, obviously, Tyreek, Jaylen, and Cedric Wilson, who you spent money on. And then after that, it becomes a question of, well, who ultimately gets the axe? And you look at all these names and you look at all these guys performing and you're just like, who am I going to be willing to part ways with? Do you part ways with Preston Williams, 6'5", 224, has all the talent in the world, but kind of suffers from the same syndrome as Jakeem Grant, who has the dropsies? He's got a lot of talent. Do you let him go? He's not healthy all the time. So maybe he could be wide receiver 6. And if Preston Williams is your wide receiver 6, that is an insane level of depth. Or if you are Mike McDaniel, do you try to keep some of the guys that you're more familiar with? You just went out and you signed Mohamed Sanu, an 11-year veteran. He's savvy in very many ways. I would honestly compare him to like the Allen Hurns of the group. He's not anything special. He's not anything amazing. He's on the older side, but he knows what he's doing. He knows Mike McDaniel's system. He knows how to function in that offense. And he provides a veteran leadership that even someone like Tyreek, who has been around for a while, there's something to be said about some. I don't even want to say it this way. It's like the older generation, because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers went to the Super Bowl on the backs of a bunch of old guys. So they know how the game works. Or do you stick with a rookie like Eric Zukanma? I think that's how you say it. But
I think you nailed it. But I don't know any better than you do, but I think you nailed it.
I mean, already he's starting to make waves. Caught a touchdown pass today from Tua. Or do you go with Lynn Bowden Jr., who ended up on IR last season? And again, lots of potential there. You just don't know. Like, how many wide receivers can you have on the team before you've decided, okay, I think that's enough. Now, I will say this. I appreciate that the NFL is making it so that you have more room to maneuver your veterans. Now that the new practice squad rules are in there, you can have, I think it's now 4 veterans that have more than 2 accrued seasons. I think that's the new rules, which, by the way, really helps a lot because now teams have more flexibility with who they can keep on the roster and who they can't. If the veteran is willing to go along with it, then that's on them. It's like, okay, I'm willing to stick around. I'll be on the practice squad. I don't mind. At least I'm here. I'm on a team. And that's now on the player to decide whether he's okay with it. He doesn't have to. I don't think he has to sign. He can say, no, I don't want to be on the practice squad, which now that gives the Dolphins more flexibility, because if you don't have space for Eric Uzenkanma, if you don't have space for Braylon Sanders, who, by the way, is also doing some really good stuff.
I forgot about him.
I mean, again, I'm looking at it, the roster right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Like, aside from maybe Devontae Dedmon and River Craycraft, so maybe you take those 2 away and you have 9. You have 9 guys who you have to choose from for those last maybe 3, 4, maybe 5 spots at wide receiver, depending on how many wide receivers Mike McDaniel actually wants to keep. And mind you, extra spaces at wide receiver means less spaces elsewhere. So do you cut a tight end? Do you cut Durham Smythe, who you just went ahead and gave a little love to?
I don't think you would, because you're probably losing Gesicki next year. At least I think probably losing Gesicki next year. So I think you want to hold on to Durham as long as possible.
Very possible. Yeah, very possible. And I just want to address what Brooklyn Rob is saying, is that Eric is a draft pick. They're not releasing him. It's draft picks don't mean anything for the Dolphins, man. Not cut. It's always with the intention, obviously, of stashing them on the practice squad. It's never just, you're not good enough, we'll get rid of you later. They always try to see, let's see if maybe I can squeeze you in there. And if they do decide to stick with Eric Uzenkanma, then at that point, now you're down to like only 3 slots left. Then who are you going to keep at that point? I would think, my personal prediction, if it were me, if I'm the Miami Dolphins, I'm currently going with Tyreek Hill. I'm going with Jaylen Waddle. I'm going with Cedric Wilson. And then after that, Eric Uzenkanma, because I think he's going to be something really special. For another Texas Tech guy, right from the Jakeem Grant playbook. Go figure. Number 5, Lynn Bowden Jr.
Yeah.
And then number 6 would be Preston Williams. And at that point, if on the practice squad, if Mohamed Sanu wants to stick around on the squad, be my guest. But he doesn't do anything that I think other players can't do, and maybe a little better.
Right. I think they did him a solid, like bringing him in, and he's going to have he can make those training camp checks. It seems like a little bit of his mentorship is already rubbing off, because I know that Jaylen Waddle specifically mentioned him like as a guy that he's learning from so far. But, he may be the type of guy who gets cut loose before the actual games are being played. I want to talk about the running backs, because I've definitely got some questions there, Lewis. I mean, obviously I feel really great about Chase Edmonds. I feel great about Raheem Mostert, who's healthy again. I like Sony Michel. I know he's not necessarily a guarantee to be the 3rd guy or better. I've seen enough of Myles Gaskin, but he's still in the mix. Sullivan Ahmed is still around. So how do you think the running back rotation is going to shake out? Because they got a lot of guys.
So this is where health, I think, is going to come into play a lot, because Raheem Mostert, he made a name for himself in the San Francisco running scheme, Mike McDaniel's running scheme. This is where he does his best work. So it's really going to boil down to Raheem Mostert and Chase Edmonds, assuming they both stay healthy. Number 3, honestly, I'm still thinking, and this is not what I would personally do, but I think that Myles Gaskin is still going to be running back number 3.
Yeah, I agree with you.
He's the most, I guess, well-rounded of the bunch. But if, quite frankly, I would have preferred if they either they went with Ahmed because he's shown more, I guess, more oomph as a running back. There's also the possibility of Zaquandre Wright, White.
White, yeah.
What a tongue twister. Zaquandre White, who's a rookie out of South Carolina. I know our good friend Chris Kaufman has been talking him up a lot. So he may have something special he can add to the table. There's a lot of choices that the Dolphins have to make. But ultimately, I think it's going to come down to the trenches, though. Because even like Chase Edmonds and Raheem Mostert are going to help in the passing game because they can catch passes out of the backfield. That's terrific. But if you don't have a hole to run through, it's very difficult for anybody to look good.
So, okay, on the offensive line, before we talk about the guys we do have, I'm curious about something, and we were talking about this a little bit before we went live today. So when free agency opened up back in March, I thought like one of the better, not one of the best, but one of the better veteran offensive linemen available is J.C. Treader once he was released by Cleveland. I never would have imagined we'd get to August and he's still not signed by anybody. So what do you think is going on there? And is there a chance he might end up a Dolphin?
Right now, I don't think there's any shot of it. I mean, they went ahead and they made the decision to move Connor Williams over to center. So
which I don't like, by the way.
I wasn't a fan of it either. But at this point, I'm just like, well, if you think that he can do it and we really need somebody solid at the center position, fine, I guess. I guess that you could also make the argument that by putting Connor Williams at center, you put whoever your left guard is in between two excellent players because Teron Armstead is going to handle the left tackle position. No questions asked. He's going to be a stud as long as he's healthy. A lot of ifs. We're playing the if game, but you know what? Every team has to do that. So you have to just accept that fact. So you have Teron Armstead at left tackle. You have Connor Williams in the middle at center. So whoever your left guard turns out to be, whether that turns out to be Solomon Kinley or if it's Liam Eichenberg. And by the way, I should note on the Dolphins official roster, every offensive lineman who is not strictly a tackle, like Larnell Coleman, Teron Armstead, Greg Little, everybody has been converted to OL. So
I noticed that. Yeah.
Even Austin Jackson is now OL. I'm like, oh no, you're gonna still play this guard game. By the way, it is not lost on me that Austin Jackson is still winding up getting thrown on his butt in training camp.
I hate it. I know.
It's like,
I know, which sucks. And listen, maybe he can still turn it around. It's early. Training camp's been going on for less than a week, but at the same time, it's like this could have been the new lease on life for Austin Jackson because he's got characteristics that fit this blocking scheme, but I guess he just still doesn't have it to go with the characteristics.
That's probably that's one of the only draft picks along with Leonte Carew that really he and Austin Jackson are probably two of Greer's worst draft picks for different reasons, but still it's just
Tua. Sorry, I'm just joking.
Are you sure you want to be on the bandwagon? Are you sure?
No,
you want to be on the bandwagon?
I've already been notified by the guy driving it, which is Brooklyn Rob. He says I'm not welcome back on. So if I'm not welcome back on, I can make my jokes again.
Okay. Well, personally, I think that everybody has a right to be skeptical. Everybody has a right to be skeptical because if you don't see the performance on game day, I get it. You're wanting a guy who's going to be that superstar. This was actually a question that I had posed to some of my friends in one of my direct chats. And let me actually, I'm going to pull it up real quickly because I want to know exactly what it was that I had asked, because this is something that you have an interesting debate about. One of the things that I talk about is what's more important. Is it the results of what you're seeing or is it the performance? And this is what I'm going to go ahead and pull it up now. What I had said was, what is the more important thing? is it about what would you rather have Tua throw for about, let's say, 4,000 plus yards? He throws 30 touchdowns, only like 11 interceptions, and the Dolphins end up going 9-8 because the defense is not as what it used to be without Brian Flores? Right. Or do you prefer he only throws for like 3,000 yards, he throws 20 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, but the Dolphins end up going to a playoff game and winning one because the defense is that solid?
So do you want my answer? Because I'll give you my answer.
Go ahead. Sure.
So I am a Dolphin fan first and foremost. So obviously I would prefer the second scenario. But if the second scenario plays out where he just has like an okay year and they win a playoff game because the defense is great, in your words, if that scenario were to play out, I'm happy as a Dolphin fan. But then I need to have eyes in the back of my head, maybe looking at upgrading a quarterback still, because you could then say, the team is really good. Maybe with an even better quarterback, we can go farther. I would venture to say, Lewis, there are a lot of Dolphins fans, and I know most of you won't admit this, but there are a lot of Dolphin fans who would prefer the first scenario, because then you feel like, hey, we got our quarterback. The other problems maybe will work themselves out over time. I want the best possible situation for the team.
And I'm going to also mention for Brooklyn Rob that I'm not being skeptical. I'm not on the skeptics train. I think that Tua still has plenty to offer. I think he can be really good, and I think he will be really good. I'm a little more on the positive side than Donno is, but I'm not going to. But this is the same thing that I've been saying ever since Tua was drafted, even before Tua was drafted. I am not going to sit here and say that beyond the shadow of a doubt, Tua is going to be a star, nor am I going to say that the responsibility is entirely on him. This is the same narrative that I had said way back when I got into a debate with, I think it was Taco, our good friend Taco. We had this discussion, and the question was, what do we expect Tua to do when he gets here? Like, if you're expecting the savior, you are doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. There's no quarterback that's going to come in here and be the savior of the franchise unless you already know beyond the shadow of a doubt that he is a superstar.
Tyler Van Dyke.
Yeah, there you go. That's your Hurricanes guy, right?
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to be somebody's savior. He's either going to be our savior or he's going to be somebody else. Probably end up in New England or something, because I don't believe in Mac Jones. I don't. So Mac Jones is going to underwhelm this year. The Tua is going to be just all right. The Dolphins, no, we have our guy. And Bill Belichick's to be like, no, I don't think we have our guy. Let me go out and get this stud thoroughbred down in Miami, Florida, and he's going to haunt my nightmares for 20 years.
Well, listen, if the defense can stay intact, then they're going to have a hard time regardless. Because former MVP person Lamar Jackson was made a fool out of by the Dolphins defense. So
it's true.
I am not going to sit here and say that the team is doomed. I personally think that this team is a playoff contender. I think with all the pieces that they've added, I think with everything that they've done, all Tua has to do is just be competent, man. And by the way, that comes with the offensive line again. And I know I keep harping on this, but it's God's honest truth. If you don't have an offensive line, Tua's still not going to look that great, because no quarterback looks great when he's on his tail every 5 minutes. It's not going to work. So with that in mind, Teron Armstead, let's say Teron Armstead is left tackle. Okay. I'm just going down the list here. Who would I prefer to have at this point? I would like to see Solomon Kinley play out at left guard. That'd be nice. I would love that. Connor Williams at center. Then let's do Robert Hunt at right guard. And then if Liam Eichenberg can get himself together and play right tackle, I think that would be fine. Tell Austin Jackson to ride the bench.
It would be like if Liam Eichenberg doesn't turn out to be good, we would be like the first team ever to draft an offensive lineman out of Notre Dame and him not be good, because like that's like an offensive line factory. So it's like,
of course, Wisconsin. What happened to Michael Dieter?
You're right about that. So it'd be so Dolphins to be like, oh, we're gonna get O linemen out of Wisconsin and Notre Dame because you can't miss, and then maybe we miss. So I hope our luck doesn't end up like that.
Listen, part of that. So you got your crowd coming in.
Yeah, I love how my people always show up late. It's the people like Brooklyn Rob who just heckle me all show. He's here like before he logs in before I log in to heckle me. And then the people like Trevor TH in the 203 and Joseph, who are actually nice, they get in like half hour into the show. How dare you? Be on time next time.
Listen, this is South Florida. This is Cuban time. There's no on time. There is no on time. They are on time. Everybody else is early.
Oh man, I don't know. I don't know what this is about, Bishop.
Okay, so here's the story.
What happened? Tell me the story, because I don't keep up with this Dolphins social media drama anymore. Like not as closely as I used to anyway.
Okay, so here's what happened. Joe Shad of the Palm Beach Post credited somebody who retweeted a video that another person had taken at training camp, which, by the way, is illegal. Don't do that if you're a reporter.
Right. But here's what's messed up. The fans can do it when it's an open practice, but the media can't.
No, listen, I was they're doing that, and they're just not getting caught by security. That's what's happening. So yeah, the no recording signs are for everybody. A lot of fans are just saying, no, we're going to do it anyway. And so, but that's besides the point. Joe Shad gave credit to the guy who retweeted it instead of the one who originally did it. And some Dolphins fans were all like, no, that's not how it works. You're supposed to credit the guy who actually did it. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know if Juan fessed up to the retweet, which he didn't technically do anything wrong. Right. What did he do exactly? He just got credited. Did he ask for the credit?
Yeah, it's a great point. And listen, I am always of the mind, like, if you're at a blackjack table and the dealer doesn't realize you push and they pay you out for a win by accident, I'm not going to be like, oh, hey, by the way, we actually pushed. I didn't win. I'm just keep my mouth shut. Right. I think that's all Juan did there.
Yeah, that's not an issue. Okay. The fans, I just looking at the comment, it just completely threw me off. No, the fans are not necessarily being better at being reporters. It's just that as reporters, we are set to, I guess, a higher standard than the fans. The Dolphins cannot control what the fans do. Right. They want certain media. Yeah. They want certain things to be kept, and they expect the media to follow the rules of the PR department. I understand it. I don't necessarily like it, but I understand it, and I will abide by it because I know what I have to do in order to do my job. But the fans, I guess, if you want to say, well, they're better because they don't have to follow the rules, then yeah, I guess from that perspective, I guess you could say that. But that's kind of an off-topic situation. One of the things that I remember you told me off camera, who was a player that I think might have a good chance at coming on strong, is Noah Igbinoghene. Believe it or not, I really think that Noah Igbinoghene might actually come up somewhere. What's the super chat?
Look at this.
Oh, there you go.
What timing? Shake on cue. Shake Money. Thank you so much for the $5 donation. He says, don't worry about the Tua bandwagon. There's plenty of room on the Noah hashtag Noah's Ark.
That's brilliant. Noah's Ark. I love that. Noah's Ark. So supposedly he's been coming on really strong. He's getting a lot better at things. He's covering people a lot better. And this was the thing about Noah Igbinoghene, and I know we got discouraged with him last season, and we had every reason to be discouraged because he looked awful every time he touched that field.
Lost, inept, everything, every adjective you can throw out there, he looked. Right. And all the bad ones, not the good ones.
Yeah, all the bad ones. But again, we have to keep in mind that he had not been playing corner for very long in his career. Up until that point, he had been a wide receiver. So it's kind of like doing the Tony Lippett thing. You remember Tony Lippett when he was here?
Yes,
you remember Tony Lippett? Yeah. He was actually not that bad. It took him some time to adjust, but he
had like badly timed injuries too.
Yeah, he was unfortunately. Right? He unfortunately got hurt a lot. But I liked Tony Lippett. He was actually pretty good when things got going. But Noah Igbinoghene, again, physical freak of nature, has all the athletic skill in the world, and I think that this is what I was hoping would happen, and I think we might be seeing it in action right now. Having the likes of Sam Madison and Patrick Surtain as the corner and assistant corner coach is doing a lot for Noah's mentality, his mindset, his knowledge of the game, because who better to learn from? Who better to learn how to play boundary corner than the best boundary corner duo the Miami Dolphins arguably ever had?
Yep. And by the way, to this message from Aaron, he says, didn't Noah get smoked like a cig against Tyreek? I mean, who doesn't?
Who doesn't get smoked by Tyreek Hill? Come on.
Who doesn't, man? Oh man. Well, Lewis, I appreciate you stopping by and taking some time. Let people know what you have cooking this season and this training camp and where they can find all your work.
So you can find me at Louis D. Song on my Twitter account. I'm going to be hosting Pulse of Fins Nation at the start of preseason with my good friend Ron Caniff. So any comments you'd like to send, tweets, any if you want to show me something crazy that you saw on Facebook, it keeps throwing me off because I want to laugh at it. I want to, and it just throws me completely. But anyway, Pulse of Fins Nation going to be coming up this preseason. Any comments, any tweets you want to send my way, Facebook comments, Facebook posts, Instagrams, Reddit posts, send them my way. Ron and I will react to them, and that way that's how we take the pulse of Fins Nation.
I love you, man. Great job as always, sir. Enjoy the rest of camp, and then I'm sure we'll chat again soon, especially when the preseason games start.
Glad to be on, Donald. Thank you so much.
Awesome stuff there by Louis D. Sung. I want to talk about the great partners here of Donno Daily and the 5 Reasons Sports Network. A couple things you know about me. I love sports betting, and I love fantasy sports, daily fantasy. Let's talk about our daily fantasy partner, and that is Prize Picks. You've probably seen the billboards. You've probably heard your friends and people here on 5 Reasons talking about Prize Picks. It's time to get on that bandwagon. If they won't let me or any of you on the Tua bandwagon, if we haven't been on it, I will let you on the Prize Picks bandwagon. PrizePicks.com or download the Prize Picks mobile app. They are revolutionizing the daily fantasy sports game. At Prize Picks, it's you versus the numbers. You select 2, 3, or 4 players, predict if they're going to go over or under their fantasy projection. So this combines my love of parlays with daily fantasy. And you can win real money, guys. 10 times your money you can win for getting 4 predictions correct. Your odds for this are a lot better than Mega Millions. I'll tell you that. I had a lot of losing Mega Millions tickets. I've won a lot of money on Prize Picks, so my odds are a lot better there. You can get double your money for getting 2 selections correct. It's so easy to sign up. It's so easy to deposit. It's very easy to withdraw as well. So when you sign up on the Prize Picks mobile app or prizepicks.com, you make your first deposit with our code 5, F-I-V-E. Type in 5, and they're going to give you a 100% deposit match up to $100. You can double your money, man. You deposit $100, there's $200 in there for you to play with. So check it out. Prize Picks truly is daily fantasy simplified. And we have an awesome sports betting partner here on Donno Daily and the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Hold on, I pulled up the wrong tracker down there. You see that? BetterEdge.com. You need to check this out. This is not an offshore deal. There's nothing shady whatsoever about Better Edge, which you're really going to appreciate. Better Edge is peer-to-peer. It's combining the social space with the sports betting space. And what I love about Better Edge as an experienced sports bettor, there's no hidden fees, no juice. They're not making you place a wager at minus 110 to win less than half of your money back. What you bet is what you can win. The way this works is, and it's fully legal in 45 states in our great country, including the state of Florida. Fully legal in the state of Florida. You pick any number you want. You like the Marlins plus 5.5 runs for whatever, or minus 5.5 runs. You think they're going to win big. You put that number and you find someone else on the other end of it. So it's a lot of fun. You want to check it out. Sign up with our referral code, betteredge.com/5 reasons. When you type in our referral link, that's betteredge.com/5 reasons, you'll see it right there, a $20 gift for signing up, a $20 referral bonus at betteredge.com. So use betteredge.com/5 reasons and get in on the action. Yeah, Marlins overs, baby. TH from the 203 checking in. We got Indade in the house today. Now, is he, so he's, I think Indade, he wants me to talk more Panthers on the show. I'm excited for Kachuk being a Panther. The problem is, like, if I spend too much time talking Panthers, especially during the offseason, the viewership numbers just go like downstairs. But I love it. I'm excited. And I think the Panthers got better. As much as I'm going to miss Jonathan Huberdeau, especially, and Mackenzie Weegar a little bit, Matthew Kachuk makes this Florida Panthers team better. younger, and tougher. So amen to that, my friends. He did? Pete Carroll? Listen, I hope he'll be all right, Pete Carroll. I'm wishing him the best. Pete Carroll is always like, he's always older than you think he is. How old is Pete Carroll right now? Let me Google this, because even like when Pete Carroll, when he looked 50, he was like 65. How old is Pete Carroll right now? Hold on. I don't want anyone to cheat here. Let me Google it. I'm going to Google it, not you. Pete Carroll, 70. Okay, so he still looks 55, but he's 70 years old now, Pete Carroll. Trevor, I told you not to type it in. I wanted to look it up for myself. Hard work. I believe in hard work is the only way to get ahead. But thank you so much anyway. So listen, you get well soon, Pete. I hope you're going to be all right, my friend. Dynasty Talk says the Marlins are going to win big. If you think they're going to win big, you can get whatever line you want at betteredge.com. Oh, there you go. Trevor uses it. He says better edge rules. I do. I like it a lot because, because Florida's still in this gray area where we don't have like fully legalized operational sports betting. And so like, instead of like using the offshores where you wonder, like, did I just sell my information to China or to Russia or something? Am I ever going to be able to get my money out? Better Edge takes all of that away, all of the shadiness away. It's completely above board, completely legit, and completely legal. So there you go. Oh, Kyler Murray tested positive for COVID. I mean, listen, again, get well soon. I hope he'll be all right. Maybe if he studied the playbook for an extra 4 hours a week, this would not have happened to him. Just throwing that out there. But in all seriousness, get well soon. Let's see. Brooklyn Rob, thank you so much for tuning in. I heard Omar Kelly passed out at training camp watching Tua dropping dimes. You sure it wasn't the heat? You sure it wasn't like heat stroke? Because it is very hot out there in late July, early August. So we shall see. Randy, thank you for tuning in. Aaron, thank you so much. Shake Money, thank you so much for the money, for the super chat. We really appreciate you. There's room on Noah's Ark if there's not room on the Tua bandwagon. I will take it. I'm higher on Noah than I am on Tua anyway. Not really, but I joke. I hope Tua succeeds. Even though you guys will throw it in my face for the end of time, I still hope Tua succeeds because I'm a Miami Dolphin fan. Let's see. Anybody else we can shout out? That might be it. If I skipped over you and I didn't shout you out, I didn't do it on purpose. We'll try to do better next time. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Also, if you can support some of the other work that I do, if you're a big-time Miami Hurricanes fan in the room, I do a daily comprehensive Miami Hurricanes podcast on the Locked On Network. It's called Locked On Canes. We go very deep into recruiting, very deep into the roster, and we have some fun while we're at it. So make sure you check that out. And I joined the Hurricanes beat on allhurricanes.com, which is Sports Illustrated's Miami Hurricane page. So check that out as well. And I don't have a lot of free time because I'm covering my local teams pretty much all day, every day. So we will talk to you again tomorrow on another episode of Donno Daily on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. See ya.